You're listening to Around Comics.
And you are watching a live version of Around Comics as well.
Yeah.
Sort of. Maybe you are. You could be listening to it with your eyes closed. But we are live on YouTube and Twitter and all those places, all those silly places.
Check out my webcams.
Oh God, no one wants to see your webcams, Chris. Your OnlyFans page. Is that what you're promoting now? I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Hanging in there. I'm finally just about over this goddamn whatever Delta virus that I've had. Delta variant, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Did you get whammied? You're up here.
I've been sick for like 2 weeks. Yeah. I mean, I was never that sick, but I couldn't stop coughing. And it's still not 100% gone, but it's finally to the point where I'm not coughing all the time. So that's an improvement.
Good. Excellent.
Yeah.
That is good.
How are you?
I'm good. It was a long weekend. Had house guests, up and doing all sorts of stuff around Milwaukee, and I probably ate out like 12 times and went to a baseball game and festival and busy times, trying to just like squeeze the last few drops of summer that we can out of the weekend.
Blowing me off for ACTV. You forgot to put that in there.
Yeah, well, that we were a little worn out. I played disc golf for the first time.
Disc golf.
Have you played?
That seems
disc
like
golf?
Oh yeah, I used to play it a while ago. I haven't played it in a long time, but I did play it fairly regularly for a couple of summers.
Yeah, my buddy who was up staying with us, that's like how we are with comics. No, let me put it this way. How we were with comics like 10 years ago, that's how he is about disc golf now.
Disc golf? He's got a bag full of discs and
gigantic backpack with discs and the app that shows where all of the disc golf courses are. Which look at a map of disc golf courses. There's one near you, and you have no idea. And I'm talking to all of us. I'm talking to the audience.
To all of you. There's one everywhere.
There's 3 of them like within a mile and a half of my house, and I had no idea.
Most public parks now, if they're of any size, they have a disc golf course. It's an interesting way to spend a Sunday afternoon or something.
It's a nice walk, but I was fucking exhausted. I'm like, we're not doing ACTV this week.
A lot of pot smoke on the disc golf course. Usually, it's very. The smell of weed is usually in the air. Weed and patchouli oil. It's a step up. It's like half a step up from hacky sack is disc golf. It's like disc golf. It's
hacky sack with more motivation. Because with disc golf, you actually have to be physical and like walk a lot.
Yeah. Well, hacky sack, you got to chase the sack if it flies, yonder, willy-nilly. If you're not good at it, you gotta. Yeah, so it's hacky sack, disc golf, and then you have like skateboarding is way up here because you can actually like make a living as a skateboarder. I don't think you can make a living yet.
I think there's like there's like 2 guys in the world that make their living as disc golf players.
I'm not sure where curling is in this. Curling's
in between frisbee golf and skateboarding. So there are people that make a living as curlers, but
do they? There's professional curlers. They make a living, not a good living. It's not a good living. It's in Canada.
Well, they do. They
only can do that because there's free healthcare.
But it's like golf because they play for cash. The tournaments, they enter tournaments that pay them in cash.
It's like golf, except black people are allowed to play. Is that?
Wow.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm all charged up. I'm all like radical. I'm radicalized this week because I did some old man stuff this weekend. I went garage sailing with my wife on one of the days. We went around and browsed garage sales, and I found something actually pretty interesting. It's published in 1973. It is the National Lampoon Encyclopedia of Humor, and nice. It is chock full of like shockingly just over relevant. The top. No, not relevant. Well, I mean, some of it maybe, but it's just so meant to like shock and revolt anyone at that time under the age of 40, you know, or over the age of like 30, I think.
What year is it? 1970?
1973. So
year I was born.
But it has a Bernie Wrightson cover.
Nice.
Bernie Wrightson.
Yeah, I was wondering who's on there, if they were using any of the Mad people.
Bernie Wrightson, and then there's two comic book sections by Russ Heath.
Really?
Yeah, there's two pretty lengthy, like 4 or like 8-page. One of them is called
Russ Heath is for you and me. I think one of the all-time underrated, underappreciated comic artists.
Well, the first titled story that he does is called Swamp Sluts. And then the second one later on in the book is called what is it called? Let me find it real quick. I want to get it right. Cowgirls at War, published by ACDC Comics, and it's basically two lesbian cowgirls that fight Nazis and have lots of half naked lesbian cowgirls that fight Nazis. But I thought I wanted to show you this
progressive book.
Yeah, very progressive. There's a this image by Russ Heath, and it's got this bald-headed woman naked with a brand of AC/DC on her right or butt cheek. Yeah, see that? Yeah, AC/DC, and it says underneath it says it's my favorite brand, AC/DC Comics. I thought that was pretty funny, but beautifully illustrated. But then, so I haven't had a chance to go through. I mean, I just kind of flipped through it. There's a lot in here, but one of the things that I like at one point I'm not going to show any of this because it's horribly shocking, but it's called Beneath the Family of Man, a photographic exhibition of our times created by Ann Beatts, Beatts, for the National Lampoon, photographs by United Press International. And it's basically a bunch of black and white photographs from the era, 1973 or some of that before that. And there's quotes next to them, and the quotes are ironic to say the least. And as I said, I'm not gonna show you what they are, but a couple of them are pretty horrific. Like it's a lot of like Vietnam era horror, and then like there's one where it's basically two guys standing in front of a pile of severed heads, and it says underneath it, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, ... Rudyard Kipling. So it's like these very poignant quotes matched with these horrific. I mean, and this is, but it's like in the,
like Cards Against Humanity with pictures.
Yeah, some of them are. There's one where it looks to be two Nazi scientists with a body on a table, with the legs melted off of the bone, and it says the proper study of mankind is man, Alexander Pope. It's very bizarre to have in the middle of
National Lampoon.
Yes, it's very. I was like, what the fuck?
Got this yard selling.
I got this at a yard sale for like $2. It was cover price at $2.50, and I got it for $2. I'm like, this is a steal. Yeah, it's got and then it's got a Frank Frazetta drawing on the back. There is, because it's called the Encyclopedia of Humor, there are actual, I mean not actual, but they're made up funny encyclopedia entries. So there's like the one on the back is called sexy drawing. Use of on covers of sleazy publications to promote sales, and then it shows a Frank Frazetta drawing.
Oh, God, nice. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So pretty awesome find at the old yard sale there.
Nice.
I thought it was.
What'd Kim get?
Some candlesticks for Halloween. We had some. We bought some candlesticks that have like skulls on them for Halloween, and I think that was really it. Oh, she did find, no, I don't remember, something else. I can't remember what it was. Not much. We don't really, I mean, we just were kind of walking around looking at stuff in the neighborhood. We weren't doing serious shopping, but I did find, interestingly enough, there was this guy, this is kind of a weird story, but so we pull up to this one house, and it was like the sign was 7 blocks away from his house. So there was a sign like on a main street, and then it was like this winding, suburban road down. Finally, we get to this guy's house, and we go in, and he's in the garage. He's set up inside the garage, nothing outside the garage or in the yard, just inside the garage. And he's an older guy, probably in his late 60s, maybe 70s. Not, super old, but nice guy. He's wearing a White Sox hat, and he's got a garage full of Beatles memorabilia, old toys, and sports memorabilia, like tons of sports cards. And I mean, it was a retro shop. It was like, but it was his collection. And he was getting rid of stuff, but for various reasons. But yeah, it was pretty interesting. I just spent like a bunch of time going through I didn't end up buying anything because these prices were pretty like spot on. Like they were
okay. So it was you weren't getting Amazing Fantasy 15 for $5 or
no. He didn't have any comics. Yeah, no, he didn't have. He had a Beatles album, Meet the Beatles original, first pressing, which was nice. He wanted $100, which is probably what it's worth. Yeah. Everything was like basically what they were worth. It was like, well, I can get that at any time I want on eBay, like what, but yeah. But there was some pretty interesting, but he had a stack of, he did have the only comic. I asked him, like, you got any comic books? He's like, no, it's the only thing I don't collect. But he's like, well, I do have one. And he had a stack by all the sports memorabilia. It was an O.J. Simpson comic book. And he's like, he had like 10 of them in a stack, and he just like, did you see that one? I'm like, no, I haven't seen that one before. That's a new one.
That's interesting. That's probably the pre Naked Gun movie O.J. Simpson comic.
Yeah, it was like Heisman Trophy Award something. It was, it was before he murdered a bunch of people. But or 2 people allegedly.
Never convicted.
Never convicted, okay. I was I don't want to the Norm Macdonald, the whole Norm Macdonald thing last week, and I talked about it a bunch. I talked it on a Big Geek Show, and
dang.
I played one of his things. Or I think I retweeted it on Twitter. It was like, I don't know how, it wasn't long after he had been fired off of Saturday Night Live. He hosts the ESPYs.
Yeah.
So he's the host for the ESPY Awards. And, and this was kind of, somebody had pointed out in the interview talking about it, like, this was sort of before, like, everybody kind of, roasted people in the audience, before Ricky Gervais did it. And before, Norm was kind of one of the first to could do it at one of these big shows. Like, it wasn't something that people did really at some of these shows. And so he's kind of roasted, but he's not really, I mean, he's roasting people that he feels deserves it, but not people like in the audience really. Anytime he picked somebody out of the audience, it wasn't like the humor wasn't directed at them. It may have been about them or around them, but it wasn't directed at them. So he closes his monologue, which is this hilarious thing, and he's like getting people to go ooh and ah, and he closes it with a joke where he points out Charles Woodson. And he's like, Charles Woodson's in the audience today. He just what a season he had. He was awarded the Heisman Trophy, the first ever defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. He's like, they can't ever take that away. Yeah. They're like, they can't ever take that away from you, Charles, unless you kill your ex-wife and a waiter. Just a word of advice. And that was the closing after like within a month of him being fired from SNL for doing all the OJ Simpson jokes, allegedly. So I just thought, well, there you go. He's not, I don't think he's stopping anytime
soon.
He's not
sorry. That's no, amazing.
Yeah, no. I went down a deep Norm Macdonald rabbit hole last week.
I'll listen to that because I love Norm Macdonald. Now he was one of the SNL crew that got fired. It was what him and Sandler and Farley. Well, Farley was never. Was he fired?
Yeah, I don't think Sandler was fired. I think it was just him. He was fired.
Was it just him?
Farley died. He might have been fired.
They left
prior to dying.
He and Sandler, and I thought it was Norm Macdonald. It was basically the stand-up guys that all left. That one, Chris Rock.
Yeah, well, they had done a season basically where I guess Lorne Michaels was like, let's get stand-ups, and he got Adam Sandler and Farley wasn't a stand-up, but David Spade, Sandler, Chris Rock, Norm Macdonald, but it was like none of them were performers, so it didn't make sense.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
There's a whole thing on the SNL in the '90s documentary, and there's that their last skit was basically them all killing themselves on stage, jumping off of a building, and so that was their kind of like weird sketch goodbye.
Well, Norm was, incredibly popular as the
Weekend Update.
Host, the Weekend Update guy. He was, he was kind of carrying the show, I think. And it was a weird thing, but I don't want to. Yeah, we don't need to go into all of that again. But it was.
So how about that episode of What If this last week? Since we didn't get to talk about it on ACTV, which you can normally watch by being one of our patrons. But you can do by going to patreon.com/comics.
Patreon. I just released the Al Ewing origin
break it
story.
Up, or did you just that entire bomb?
Yeah, just the whole thing. I'm too lazy. I just gave him the whole thing.
So 3 hours.
240. 248, I think, something like that.
So there you go. If you want access to 2 hours and 40 minutes with Al Ewing.
To be fair, Al talks slow. I don't even mean that as a joke. Like, he sort of is deliberate with his words, and he's British, and he talks slower, so it's like he would take time to answer things and meander with his answers, and I was more than happy to let him. So I don't know. It may be way too much for any one person to want to listen to Al Ewing for that long, and me, but it's mostly him. It's not that much me.
Yeah, that's funny. I got the Obama A Promised Land on audiobook, and that's a book that was like 22 hours. That if most normal people had read it, it would have been like 12. But it was Obama. It was kind of like
he's very deliberate.
It was like being wrapped up in a big, audible blanket. It was beautiful, but it was very deliberate.
Oh, you're still holding all that love for Barack Obama, are you?
Yeah, absolutely, forever. So anyway, what if? How do you like this last episode? With
what was it? I don't remember.
It was the Killmonger episode.
Oh yeah. I did like it. It was good. It was.
What's the moral of the story?
The moral of the story is
always kill your enemies before they screw up everything.
Oh, I thought it was make sure Tony Stark is Iron Man. But
is that what it was?
I think that But it was, they finally are getting to the it's no more like, this one was another cautionary tale. It's like, what if Iron Man, what if Tony Stark was not Iron Man? And it would be a horrible string of events, I'll be honest, I don't remember it that well. I watched it on Wednesday, and it was so long ago now that I don't remember it that well. But I don't think I was paying that much attention to it. I kind of get bored. As much as I love these characters, and I love the idea of Marvel doing stuff with these characters, to be honest, I get a little bored with the sort of homogenized storytelling that Marvel does. Yeah, I tend to, so I watched it, but honestly, I didn't pay that much attention to it when I was probably doing something else at the same time as I was watching it. So, but I do remember liking it. I can't really say that much about this particular episode.
Yeah, it was neat to see more Killmonger, because I thought he was one of the better villains in the MCU, more interesting, arch nemesis. I was dinged. Something in my office just dinged. Sorry.
Ding.
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Now we've been, if you want to jump from What If to Titans.
Titans
was kind of bananas last week. There were some crazy scenes. I'm like what the fuck is going on scenes?
Yeah, but in a good way. I think I mean I think Titans continues to sort of twist the knife about all the the family issues that these people have, the personal issues that these people have, but in a way that's not, I feel, is more relatable, as opposed to sort of, I get, like with most of the DC, especially the CW stuff, I get so tired of sort of, the whether it's love triangles and relationship, the stuff. It's like, I just don't. I mean, nothing against anyone that likes watching that stuff, but it's just I get bored by it. I don't really care whether, it's like if the whole series is about like Nightwing and Barbara and whether or not they're going to get in a relationship, or whether
boring. Yeah.
It's just, it's fucking boring. It's been done. I mean, if I wanted that, I would watch a goddamn rom-com. Rom-coms are shit. That's why I don't watch them. You know what I mean? Like, they're for, date nights for 20 somethings that don't have any taste. But I do.
But we're not going to, paint any real broad strokes about this.
Well, it's just well, they are. That's who they're made for. They're made for fucking bland 20 somethings that have nothing better to do.
Rom-com.
I suppose it's fine. I mean, there have been some that are better than others, but in general, the genre of rom-com is one of the lowest forms of entertainment in entertainment. But have any rom-coms won an Academy Award? Is there many rom-coms in the Criterion collection?
I think Dances with Wolves.
That's not a rom-com. He's not in love with the wolf, is he?
Romantic story. They're right in the middle of it. They're jokes.
That's no,
of course. It's nothing that I would classify as a rom-com.
If there is any in the Criterion collection, they're probably like French.
Has a comedy ever won
Academy Award?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Picture.
I don't know. Maybe. So. I'm not sure. Yeah, right. Well, they've won comedies, but I don't think so. Probably not. Yeah. Although comedies are incredibly difficult to do well. I don't know.
Exactly. Don't discount just because of the lack of awards.
Anyway, back to Titans. What did you think about it?
I liked it, and it was kind of the constant kind of back and forth from feeling like a CW show to doing things that you obviously can't do on CW or cable TV. It's not, for me, absolutely pitch perfect when it bounces back and forth from those scenes. But it's interesting. I mean, it's weird to see that Jason Todd confessional scene in that peep show, whatever place he was. I was watching. I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" I mean, that was just. Am I wrong? Was that not just a completely weird, off the wall scene?
Well, I mean, I think I'd have to go back and watch it again and try and understand it more from the sort of context of where that character is at.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a little weird. It's a little out there of like, okay, why, what is the sort of point, where did that come from?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who came up with that idea, sort of
and
thing.
Then you have the very CW romance between, is it Blackfire?
Blackfire, yep, and Connor.
Yeah.
Which they led up to that.
Yeah.
But it's not drawn out for an entire season of whether or not, there's not this back and forth cat and mouse sort of game about it all, which is, for whatever reason, writers think are interesting.
I really like this depiction of Connor. Like for me, the comic books have trouble really capturing that character like I've seen in Young Justice and now this. I think Young Justice, that is the Connor Kent character for me.
Well, he's much more interesting in this. He's not just a Superman knockoff.
Yeah.
Like
he's very unsure of himself.
He's very unsure, but he's also very intelligent, which they play more on the Lex Luthor side of him, where it's like he is very intelligent. Not that Superman isn't, but that's not one of like the skills that is very often used for Superman or Superman comics. But yeah, they use that a lot in Titans. Like he's diffusing bombs, and
I like that they actually made a differentiation between that, not the super genius, but the criminal mastermind, and those are two different things, right? I mean, they had that conversation. It's like, think like a criminal mastermind, and not necessarily a physicist or whatever,
right? Yeah, and that's, I mean, how is he going to use that side of him? I like that they're exploring that they're like going, well, he is half Lex Luthor. It would be kind of cliche, and I think it's been done of like, he just turns evil, or at some point, which I hope they don't do necessarily, unless it's something interesting, like but if it's just sort of that was my problem, and especially since they kind of did that with Raven already, you know what I mean, like the first season. Well, but Jason Todd was turned evil.
Yeah.
For what I mean? Like that I have no problem with, because it was unique, it was interesting, it was imaginative of how they did it. Like I love the concept of Scarecrow using fear as a weapon in a different way. I think that's I don't find it to be cliche, because it's creative. It's you know what I mean? Yeah, it's new. It's even though it's I was reading an interesting book about that, of like it made me really change my perspective on, I think people use cliche a lot in a wrong way, when they they're talking about like story structure, or like how something is built, and call it cliche. But it's like, well, it's only cliche if turning a hero evil is only cliche if you do it exactly how it's been done 100 times before. You know what I mean? Sure. This wasn't done that way, so it's not, But yeah, if they just if Connor just, comes in contact with Lex, and all of a sudden, it would be kind of cliche, and I hope they don't do that. But with Raven, we've seen it so much before. But I mean, I assume that they're going to sort of keep going down that path in one way or another. Where he struggles with it, which I'm fine with, but I don't know what the payoff or where the sort of climax of that will be necessarily.
Yeah, they've kind of had the I mean, is this season 3?
This is season 3.
Season 3. It's like each season, one of the Titans has this, horrible thing that they have to overcome. So yeah, we'll see if they move on to Connor next. But yeah, that kind of gets into the CW realm for me a little bit, at that storyline. But yeah, it can. I still look forward to the episodes when they come out, and I watch them as soon as they come out. So that's an endorsement that I'm still liking it.
Wayne Musso says there are a few Criterion Classic rom-coms, bringing up Brady, The Philadelphia Story, and Moonstruck. I don't
Philadelphia Story.
Yeah, I don't know either
of
those.
Isn't that the Tom Hanks one about
about AIDS?
About AIDS?
I don't think that's is that a rom-com, Wayne?
Or is it? No, that's just Philadelphia, right? Because that would be dark if Wayne thought that was I think that's just Philadelphia.
Wayne's really fucked up. We're just learning more about Wayne. He thinks Tom Hanks movie about AIDS is a rom-com. That's interesting. I don't know what that says about him, but bring up baby. I thought that's what he meant, but I wasn't sure. Bring Up Baby is a 1938 film. Cary Grant. I don't even know if I've seen that one. Is that a rom-com? I guess so. It's a good, very classic rom-com. Yeah. I don't. There you go. I guess that. Well, there you go. It's been since 1938. I don't know what The Philadelphia Story. I'm not familiar.
No, I did like Moonstruck.
Yeah. Would you? But I don't. That's a very uncommon.
Yeah, I don't know if
it's not
if I would call that.
Is it a rom-com? It's funny, but there's not a whole lot of romance in it. It's sort of an anti. It's an anti rom-com.
Yeah.
Philadelphia Story is also Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn from 1940. So it's been
really. They did a movie about AIDS in 1940.
No.
Oh,
when a rich woman's ex-husband and a tabloid-type reporter turn up just before her planned remarriage, she begins to learn the truth about herself. That is the tagline for the 1940 Katharine Hepburn, James Stewart, not Jimmy Stewart, James Stewart and Cary Grant, The Philadelphia Story. So there we go. Those are your rom-coms. I'm gonna stand by my previous statement that rom-coms are shit. I'm sorry, but good try.
What about like It's a Wonderful Life?
That's not a rom-com. Come on. What the fuck are you talking about?
There's romance. There's comedy.
What romance is in there?
There's romance all over that movie.
Oh my god, you're really stretching.
Yeah,
really stretching. And also, It's a Wonderful Life is just like sappy, super sappy. I don't even know if.
It's my dad's favorite movie.
Whose?
It's my dad's favorite movie.
It's his favorite movie. It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting.
That's
very interesting.
That's what 72-year-old men love whenever you say
It's a Wonderful Life.
What is your favorite movie? They say
I don't know. I think it says a lot about your father. Maybe I think we have we have a window into your dad that he's maybe wasn't happy with his life, and now he looks at it's a Wonderful Life. And
no. Yes, of course you would say he looks at it in all of the worst ways. Maybe your dad should kill himself. Maybe the world would be better off without him.
Jimmy Stewart, Chris.
Shut up, Wayne.
Wayne, what's Wayne saying now?
Wayne said maybe Chris.
Chris's dad had a fantasy about not having Chris. I could see that. I mean, let's be honest. I don't know. I don't know what my father's favorite movie was. My father's been passed for a long time, but I'm trying to. I would guess it would probably be some sort of Western. Would be my guess, or something like that. But It's a Wonderful Life. That is interesting. I mean, I like It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah,
but I don't know that I think that's the first person I've ever known that said that was their favorite movie.
It's his favorite movie. Yeah.
He gets to see it every year.
Yeah. Speaking of favorite movies, I get to watch my second favorite movie of all time. this week and
It's your
talked about
second
it.
favorite movie.
It's my second favorite movie of all time.
That's right. We got to talk some Pulp Fiction, this week.
Pulp Fiction on K-Billy Super Sounds. So that'll be.
I gotta watch it
again. Yes, I need to finish. You know, I always like watch for pleasure, and then the second time I'll watch with a notepad and jot things down. So I got to do that second viewing.
Yeah, I've seen it so many times. I've never. I don't think I've ever sat down to analyze it. So I'll just do that. I think just to.
Yeah, so fun. So that's coming up next week.
Yeah,
about this
with
time.
Will Pfeiffer. And then it seems like we may be getting our third amigo to start joining us for ACTV. It sounded like Tom is interested in
that means one of two things.
His kids are on summer vacation, winter vacation.
It either means that Tom has listened to the ACTV episodes and has things to say and wants to join us, or it means that he has listened to ACTV and he has some fucking things to say and needs to join us.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with it.
He's like, you are wrong about everything.
No.
And I'm here to tell you. Ted Lasso, are you caught up?
No.
It's
I think I've watched 3 episodes of this season.
This last episode was pretty fantastic. So I'll let you get there.
I doubt it. Your recommendations are not good. But let's get back to comics real quick. We were talking. No, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Kate, you didn't like Kate.
I
thought it was a really fun action movie.
It was fine. It was okay. I think the problem is I really am not a fan of the lead actress. Oh. And then the Japanese girl.
Yeah, the little girl.
Couldn't be more fucking annoying. I mean, I wanted her to be killed. I wanted her to die.
I think
at some point.
Supposed to. All right.
But no, it was fine. It was all right. I like the I like the twist at the end was good. It did look cool. I also have a problem with and I guess I shouldn't, because you look at John Wick. I mean, it's basically a John Wick movie, right? It's with a female lead instead of a male lead, and it's like, well, Keanu Reeves isn't gonna take out a room full of 40 people in real life. No one is. Like, there's nobody's gonna do that. I don't care how, but it's hard for me sometimes to get past the physical. And I don't know the actress's name. What's the actress in Kate? Do you know her name?
I don't know. She sold it for me though. I liked it.
She did a good job. She was very physical, and she was good. But I have a hard time of like her
wiping out a room of ninjas.
Well, it's just like, some of the stuff is a little hard to buy when she's like 112 pounds soaking wet. I mean,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead.
She played she was what's her name? The Huntress, right? Same gal. Played the Huntress in the Emancipation of
okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Harley Quinn.
Yeah, that
Birds of Prey.
Yes, that was. Let me see here. Yeah, she played Helena Bertinelli.
Yeah, I don't know. She's fine. She's good. Actually, now that I think of it, she was good. She was good in it. Like she did. The action stuff was good. She pulled off being,
badass.
Badass. But it's weirdly. I don't know. It was fine.
Not a perfect movie. I thought it was a really fun action movie. So I thought it was better than Snake Eyes. How about
that? I liked Snake Eyes. I don't know.
Well, I liked them both.
Maybe.
I like this one.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe I'll have to watch it again. Anyway,
right, so comics. You suggested a good one.
Which one?
See how I.
Well, we were talking about Titans. I think you're going to talk about the other one. So let's talk about Titans first. So Titans United.
Like
you didn't like Titans United?
No, not really.
Really?
No.
Oh, that's funny. I did. I thought it was pretty good. I thought for what it was. I mean, it's a mini series, and it's
like 7 issues.
7 issues, and it's meant to bridge the gap between, I think, fans of the TV show and fans of the comic. And I thought it did a really good job of that. I thought that it felt like the TV show to some degree, the characters and but it also felt like the characters from the comics for the most part. Especially my favorite.
That's why I didn't like it.
That's why you don't like Titans? You don't like the Titans?
No, it's just it felt a little bit like a promo for the TV show.
Yeah, I think there's no question they're trying to like I said, bridge that gap and get people that maybe are fans of the show. I think that's, why wouldn't you try and do that if you're DC? Isn't that something we've like complained about for decade now? Like, why don't they make comics that are based on the shows that are really popular, the movies that are really popular?
But I stopped complaining about that because I don't care how much money fucking Marvel makes. It doesn't.
True. It's not not my point. I do have DC stock, so I do care how much HBO.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I liked the story. I liked the idea of like, some random guy getting their powers, sort of a Mazo-ish.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when we talk about cliche, I will stick with it, but it feels like it's going down a cliche path of government. The guy was experimented on whenever he was in prison, and this is someone's trying to make super villains, and he's a bad spinoff of that, which we've seen before.
Maybe I didn't really get that. I mean, they didn't. I didn't. Did you feel like they hinted to that, other than he was in prison?
Well, he was in prison. He didn't know what happened, what is going on with him. So it's like someone has done this to him. It was kind of the road that I felt it going down. So
interesting. Interesting.
Experimented on in prison. That would be my guess as to what happened.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how your fucking prognostication pans out. Well, one of the things I really liked about it was I kind of miss Gar being the sort of charming rogue of of Titans, and he was that in this, which I don't know why I've always enjoyed him being that character who's like constantly kind of, and he's not that in the show. He's like the little brother in the show. He's everybody's little brother, and
he's not hitting on everyone.
He's not hitting on everyone all the time, and that's the Gar I want to see. God damn it. I don't know why, they have to. No, yeah, I don't know. That's the Gar I think is pretty funny, and everybody just kind of, you have these incredibly
that's the classic Gar Logan.
I always find it funny because I think when it's done well, it's the fact that you have this kind of, this kid who is a shape changer and he's green, and he's a bit of a freak, and he has these incredibly beautiful, powerful women that he's constantly failing, and it's almost just sort of like an inside joke, kind of a thing. That's why I kind of like it. But yeah, I guess it would be a little more difficult to do in this day and age in a HBO Max series. I guess maybe it would come off. People wouldn't appreciate it as much, but I like that. Go ahead.
Oh, I do like how much Jason Todd and Connor Kent hate each other in this book.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't.
Batman
like each
and Superman hate each other,
and that's rightfully so. I think and I liked that Donna Troy's in it. I think I talked about Donna Troy before. I like her. I've always liked her costumes. I don't know. I always liked her more than I liked Wonder Woman. Or any of the other Wonders. Is that what they would be? Wonders?
Yeah, Cassie. I like Cassie, that version of Wonder Girl, the post Donna Troy Wonder Girl. Yeah, because Donna Troy went from being Wonder Girl to just being Donna Troy, right?
Donna Troy, yeah. And I think I liked her as Donna Troy when she became Donna Troy for whatever reason. I think it was at the time, like when that happened, I was probably like
Titans.
Well, but I was also probably older. Like I wasn't a kid. I was probably a teenager or maybe even in my 20s, maybe. And so like that was when Nightwing and Donna Troy and those characters sort of were a little older.
Judas Contract.
Yeah, I think so. Titans. That's probably right. Yeah.
Which is still that would be one. Don't suggest it for a trade talk because that's a long fucking story.
I'm never picking another
like
group book. Never picking another.
Do a 1980s.
Speaking of
DC, So our trade talk
next week, right?
Yeah.
It's next Tuesday.
What it is again?
Ether, by who's it by? I can't remember who. Matt Kent and David Rubin. Volume 1, Ether Volume 1. It's on Hulu. You can read it there. We're going to talk about that next week in our trade talks. Oh wait, should I do the?
You got to do the.
This is our trade talk.
I really got to hire some voice people to start doing some of this stuff because my voice is in everything now because I'm the only one here in my basement. I did use my wife on something once. I used
to use Marta for little stingers all the time in the early days.
Yeah. Well, we used to always use guests. That was now you find that on a lot of comic book podcasts, but that was absolutely something we started. We
pushed
getting
that hard.
Guests.
Yeah,
we pushed that really hard. Now everybody does it. Now it's cliche. To go back
and done
to our.
We should pull all. I think I have all those audio files. We should just start dropping them in.
We could do that. Well, I don't edit the shows though. They just.
I'll just be over here every once in a while. I'll just go. I'm Jason Aaron, and you're listening to Around Comics.
Just play it on your phone. Put it next to the microphone. That's fine.
Yeah, just do a little soundboard there. Yeah. But I did not hate it. It was not the best thing.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't great.
The art is very fine. If you like kind of that
Jose Luis,
style.
and Jonas Trinidad.
Yeah, it felt very DC House style.
Yeah, it's not a ground, but I think if you like the TV show, you like Titans, you may like this book. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't great. It was just sort of there. It's but I read it, so there you go. That's what you get. That's what you get, folks.
Your other recommendation was great.
The other one was great. It was very interesting. Tell the folks what that is.
It's Jeff Lemire.
Oh, you want me to? I got it. Yeah, Primordial.
Primordial.
Yes. Yeah, Jeff Lemire and Andre Sorrento.
We'll talk about that fantastic art in a second.
Yeah, the art was definitely the sort of standout. Not that Jeff isn't a terrific writer, obviously he is, but I felt like this first issue was
I'd say the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch. The setup for this is 1960s alternate history sci-fi espionage story. The concept is that in 1959 the last Jupiter rocket missions were sent up into space with two monkeys, and they died according to official reports, and the space program was shut down. Yes. And Nixon wins re-election, beating John Kennedy because of that, I'm assuming. So it's an alternate reality, but up until 1959 it seems rather real. Those two apes that he mentions, the two monkeys that he mentions in the book, Abel are real. And Miss
something, I got it written down, but I can't read it. Abel and
Abel and I
Balder.
forget
I don't know. Baldy, something with a B. They actually did go up in one of the last Jupiter rockets, but they survived. And one of them's on display, which is kind of gross. Yeah, right? Like, it's like, yeah.
You know, we should actually do that. It's like, this is John Glenn now on display.
just strap him up.
Just asked to be stuffed after he died. So
just stuff him, put him into a fucking glass box, and what was that?
It's kind of like the Disney Hall of Presidents, you know.
It would be like the Collector. It'd be like the Collector, just having people shoved in glass boxes and put on display. Yeah, that is. I found that to be a little weird when I because it was interesting when I first read this. I missed the part where it's like, and Nixon, because it's like a radio broadcast. It's real subtle. There's a part where they inform you, the book informs you that Nixon beats John Kennedy, but it's kind of subtle in a landslide. And the first time I read it, I'm like, I just kind of glossed over it. And then I read it again, and I'm like, wait a second.
That didn't happen.
That's not right. And then I kind of started to dig in, a little bit. And I'm like, oh, these apes were actually real. But so anyway, the apes go up but then there's this, so the space program's all shut down. They hire this guy who is a physicist,
MIT
brilliant dude, some brilliant black professor. And he agrees because he's very interested in the space program, and he's hoping that this means the space program is going to be started up again. But no, they're just cleaning everything out and shutting it all down, and he's there to sort of supervise.
Yeah.
But in his time there, like his first day there, he comes across, or he's given by a mysterious bald dude, he's given some records that kind of illustrate that
history.
Contradict history and say that the monkeys didn't die. And then he's immediately he calls the general that hired him and tells him this information, which is always your first mistake. If you find secret, here's a little tip, kids. If you find secret government information that contradicts the official story that the government has put out a decade ago, do not call the general in charge of things and tell him, because at worst you're going to get fired, or at best you're going to get fired. At worst you're going to end up in like a fucking 3x3 cell somewhere in Croatia, or I don't know where, somewhere somewhere terrible. Is Croatia terrible? I don't even know. I've never been. I hope not.
I'm sure there can be horrible places. So, but yes, don't
Canada. You'll end up in Canada. That's horrible. All right, maybe not Canada. We have a lot of Canadian listeners. So no, not Canada. Where you end up in
it is America's hat.
Wow, America's hat. They keep our ears warm. Thank you, Canada, for keeping our ears warm.
Please let me retire there so I can glom on to your universal health care.
Not a chance. That's all the curling. That's why you've been curling for the last decade. You're hoping that you can pass yourself off as a Canadian.
I'm going to smuggle myself in a broom bag into Toronto and I'm going to glom onto their health care. Absolutely.
Good luck with that. But yeah, it was a really good book. It was a really good issue.
And I need to clarify on the art. The art wasn't the style of art is not my favorite, but there's a lot of almost like Jonathan Hickman in there in like graphic utilization of page layouts to really tell the story. And so the art not bad, but the design and page layout was some of it made me smile to see an artist use the page like that. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was very well. And I don't want to spoil anything because the book just came out last week. But at one point they suggest some sort of like very 2001-ish space time fluctuation kind of stuff. Some weird space shit. Let's just say that. And the book goes from like, almost a like military complex like boring, like, you know, very understated sort of book look to this wild, almost psychedelic.
Yeah, it's almost monochrome, you know, just, you know, very flat color.
Almost like a you know, like a 1960s printout or something. You know what I mean? Like a very. I'm assuming that was intentional, because it very, very much went from a very bland, almost matter of fact storytelling from an art
to Technicolor.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was cool, very cool. I did enjoy that. So it's you know, kind of what you said. It's, you know, Lemire. You picked this book up because it's got Lemire's name on it, but I think the art is why I'm going to stay. You know, Jeff has a compelling story, but this is one which shows when comics are great, when the art can be the driver that the story needs. And well, I mean, I think, you know, love Jeff Lemire. Have always, you know, enjoyed so much of his work. But if there's one thing for me personally that, you know, keeps me from elevating his work to, you know, the sort of an even higher level, is just his own art. I'm not the biggest fan of his art. I think.
Oh, sure.
I think it's cute, not cute. I shouldn't say cute. I think it's serviceable, and I think that it is quaint. I think, you know what I mean? I think his art style is sort of quaint, and I enjoy it on a certain level, but I don't think that it necessarily elevates the story. It does a job. It does its job. Whereas this elevates the story. You know, this artwork brings the story.
I don't think that just drawing this story works.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it would work at all. I think it would be, it would,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And you know, honestly, I say the same thing about Matt Kent sometimes, even though Matt
agreed.
But on that, and we'll talk about this more with Ether, Matt it does some really nice page layouts and uses the medium, you know, graphically more than some other people. But yeah, Jeff, you know, not a right fit, and he knew that. You know, I feel the same thing. What's the oh crap? What's the series he's doing? It's the other outer space one, Ascender and Descender.
Yeah, Descender.
Yeah. Well, I think
his style is not going to fit.
It's not going to do
sci-fi very well, I don't think. Although I don't know who the artist on Ascender and Descender is, but it's not my favorite.
Is that Dustin Nguyen?
Might be.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I don't know. I haven't read it, to be honest.
I like it. It's good.
Yeah.
It's a Lemire story. Yeah.
So, interesting Lemire story. Anecdote, I should say. It's not a story. I read in his Substack that came out, I think, today, that he is the showrunner for the 5-episode show of Essex County that is coming out in the future. He's going to be the showrunner of it, and possibly direct something. I don't know. He mentioned directing in an offhanded way of like, I'm not really interested in directing. I love writing. I love comics. Well, he said I love comics first, and then he said I love writing, and screenwriting is certainly a natural offshoot of what I already do. I'm not sure about directing, but who knows? But he is going to be the showrunner of a show, so that's interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, Essex County is his. I mean, that's why we know him. You know, that was kind of the breakout hit that kind of launched his career. But that dude is you know, we talked about Cullen Bunn and how prolific Cullen is. Dude, Jeff Lemire, it seems like he has stuff coming out every week.
No doubt. Yeah,
you know, and like meaty stuff.
Yeah, I don't know how these guys do it. It just blows me away.
Kind of makes you sick, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. No joke. Like, I've been working on this story idea diligently. I mean, I'm obviously, you know, I have a full-time job. I have 2 kids and 2 dogs and a house and all that stuff. So I can't spend 8 hours a day working on it. But I've spent a good chunk of time over the last, I don't know, 2 months on a story idea that I'm developing, and it's like it's coming along really nicely. It's like actually, I feel really good about it right now. But I'm like, how the fuck do these guys? How do they have 5 books coming out at the same time? Like, when do they find the time? I mean, I'm not talking about the writing part of it, like sitting down and typing.
While
that takes time, but the conceptualize, and it's just like, man, he must just be one of those guys that is able to just, I'm going to sit down and write, and whatever comes out comes out, and then I'll fix it. I can't imagine that more and more that I try and write, and I try and create some stories. The more I'm just like, I don't know how the fuck anybody could be a comic book writer. Like, I don't know how someone creates a really well-written comic book on a monthly basis. I don't see how the fuck that's possible. And it just amazes me that guys can do it.
Yeah. And it's the ones that do it well. And, there was one comic book.
Oh yeah. I can see how people can do it shitty, but
yeah. It's there's a guy that we all know that has a formula, and he basically just plugs the formula in and cranks out comics. And I've liked some of his stuff, but I totally see it now that that I've learned that's how it kind of works.
What's the formula? Just give it to me. So I I don't know. I don't have that big of a problem with formula necessarily, but even so, it's just like, I don't know, man, how sometimes, like, to think, of some of the Lemire stuff that he's done. There's some of the stuff that he's done. And granted, I don't think he writes necessarily on a monthly schedule.
No.
But, it's just like, fuck, some of the shit that he's come out with.
And some of his stuff is really sparse, and I can see it. It's like, here's a great idea, and he's going to let the artist really tell the story with this and have a very, a low word count, sparse story. But then he writes other stuff that is fucking really dense.
Yeah.
For sure. And I love how he's able to change gears and change tone by doing that.
I mean, say what you will about someone like Bendis, but I mean, for a long time, Bendis was writing a bunch of fucking books on a monthly schedule, and they weren't, paper thin. Like they weren't, real shallow books, real shallow stories. I mean,
there was a center cut time for him where he's doing Powers and Daredevil, and they were both two of the absolute best books on the stands, in my opinion. There was a time, and he was cranking out, and he was probably working on other stuff at the time. But I think there was a while there he was doing 4 or 5 books a month, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah.
I want to be more like the Ed Brubaker sort of, here's a graphic novel every 6 months, 8 months, or a year, one a year.
Which actually we've got a new Reckless coming out in what, a week or two, or is it
something October? Like that? I think
sometime in October.
I think October. Yeah.
So absolutely looking forward to that
for sure. Faux show. Oh, I wanted to. And never mind. I'm just gonna rant on something. I was gonna rant on something else, but
save it for a big geek show.
Yeah, that's true. I will.
Nice. Well, we said we were gonna ramble for about an hour, and we are at about an hour. So we'll start wrapping this one up. Go ahead.
Wayne had a question.
Oh yeah.
He asked did you guys see Jolt with Kate Beckinsale? It felt like I was watching Crank.
Is that a good thing?
Crank as in the letterer, or Crank as
in the movie?
Is in the movie Crank, or Crank as in heroin? Isn't Crank, or is that Smack? Crank? I don't know what Crank is.
Yeah. Smack is heroin. Crank.
Crank is.
That sounds like an amphetamine. Is that meth?
Yeah, it does sound like. Probably is meth. That's probably Crank.
That's Crank.
Crank was a 2006 film with Jason Statham.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
And in slang, a pejorative term used for a person who holds an unshakable belief that most of his or her contemporaries consider to be false. So a anti-masker is a crank. I guess that's that's a different kind of crank. No, what is the drug crank? Come on, drug slang crank.
Yeah, that sounds.
I need to know this now. Stimulant methamphetamine. There you go. So that's
there you go. Meth.
Speed, chalk, white, cross, fire, and glass. Nice. All of the slang terms.
I obviously need to go back and watch Breaking Bad again. And Wayne said, yes, Crank is in the movie. No, I haven't seen Jolt, but yeah.
I haven't seen Jolt. What is Jolt is with Kate Beckinsale? I feel like I have seen.
Is it? I forget what streaming service it's on. It's hard to keep track anymore.
Kate Beckinsale. I watched
Underworld Evolutions.
No, I stopped watching Underworld after like the first one. I mean, she's really good looking, but yeah, not
also in a Greg Rucka movie.
Yeah, that's right.
Whiteout.
That was Whiteout. Yeah, that one I liked. I liked Whiteout.
Whiteout was not horrible.
No, this has got a good cast. Kate Beckinsale, Jay Courtney, who played Captain Boomerang, Laverne Cox from Orange is the New Black, Stanley Tucci. Everybody loves.
Gotta love Stanley Tucci.
Bobby Cannavale, and David Bradley. God, he's still alive. My goodness, David Bradley, showing he's still pumping out films, bit parts. David Bradley is the I don't know. I was trying to convince a buddy of mine that for Halloween we should have gone as Burt Reynolds and Captain Chaos from Cannonball Run, but he did not want to. He didn't think anyone would
Dom?
get that. Yeah,
Dom. What's nice?
His name is Dom. I mean,
well, you can actually probably pull off Burt now. We're about 5-6 years ago. You definitely would have been going for the Dom DeLuise part.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I'm still a pretty heavy Burt. I'm probably 50 or 60 pounds heavier than he's.
No, you need to go. You need to go one layer deeper. You need to go as Norm Macdonald as Burt.
I'm Reynolds. A little short. Norm Macdonald as Burt Reynolds.
Norm Macdonald.
Just get a what do you call it? The
big fucking hat,
but
the glasses.
But I need the desk with the buzzer on it and just says Turd Ferguson. God, I should go as Norm Macdonald.
As Burt Reynolds.
Wow, that would be. I would go as Turd Ferguson. I'm Turd Ferguson. That'd be pretty funny. God, I don't know. I think I might disappoint my wife because we had just decided that
you weren't all out.
Well, no, she wanted to be hippies, but you know me, I can't just like be something. I'm like, okay, well, how about if I'm Charles Manson?
Be something you hate.
Well, no, I don't hate hippies. Fucking hippies. No, I just can't be something simple. So I was like, I'll be Charles Manson and you be one of my cult members. You'll be one of the hippie. Yeah. No, so I think that's
what you didn't say Sharon Tate.
No, I wouldn't go that crass.
That could get bloody.
No. I did see a costume for that. I was looking up Charles Manson costumes. The problem was like, well, I'm not going to walk around with a swastika in my forehead. I'm not doing that.
The X. You do the early 60s version or the just with the X. Cross.
Yeah. I'll just do the X instead of I love that I had to figure that out though. That I'm like, well, am I gonna do a swastika? I mean, it's just a family party.
No, because you're gonna do Turd Ferguson is what you're gonna do.
God, I really want to do Turd Ferguson now. Oh man, that would be excellent. I'd have to build like a Jeopardy fucking easel thing in front of me with a fake screen that says Turd.
But you only have it go down to like your waist so you can like sit.
You just chewing gum. Just
I love it.
That would be pretty excellent.
Yep. Nice.
Turd Ferguson.
You are welcome, sir.
I don't think it's going to happen though. I don't think I can back out on my wife at this point. She would be disappointed. Because then what is she going to be? Who's she going to be? Alex Trebek?
Connery.
Shows, yeah, she's going to be Sean Connery. Your mother, Trebek. She'll be Alex.
Your mother.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
I feel like I need to go watch those on YouTube now.
I already did. I swear I'm not even kidding. I spent so much time watching Norm Macdonald stuff. I'm now and then I felt bad because I never had picked up his book. Mm-hmm. And I did get it and I started reading it, and it is interesting. It is not what I expected at all, although strangely not it's like a very, very well written book. Like it's profound.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, I haven't finished it, but it is not what I expected at all. There are funny parts to it, but like it's written like I mean, it's much closer to literature than it is a comedian's biography. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Like, he was a very talented writer. Yeah, it's really good so far. I mean, I'm only a few chapters in, but it's just like, what the fuck? This is not what I was expecting. I'm not disappointed in any way.
I'm gonna look and see if it's on Audible.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Could be.
I'm due to start a new Audible book. All right, cool. Well, man, is that about it? I think we both agreed that What If's okay. Titans is still fun. You should definitely read the new Jeff Lemire comic. God, what's the name of it again? Primordial. Yeah, there you go.
And rom-coms suck. Rom-coms are terrible. You're gonna end up Canadian at some point, or you're gonna end up in Canadian prison. Some point. Do they have prisons in Canada? Are there actual other prisons in Canada?
Yeah, but they're very polite prisons.
They're like trees. Are they carved out of trees? Do they just keep you in the woods?
You go collect maple sap. That's your job as a prisoner.
That would make sense.
Yeah. For the maple syrup. So we get all that.
You have to weave flannel. You have to make flannel in prison. Is that flannel and snowshoes? Mm-hmm. You have to make just thousands of snowshoes in Canadian prison.
Yep.
But they're very nice about it.
But it's very polite. Very polite. Yes, and just drenched in maple syrup. So there we go.
All right. And we didn't watch Crank.
We did not watch Crank, but I will watch Jolt.
What was the not to keep you on here, but we can read up. But you mentioned something earlier in our chat. You were excited about something. Independence.
Foundation. Foundation.
What is that?
It's on. I believe it's on Amazon Prime. Check that for me.
It's a drama about the founding fathers.
No. You didn't read Foundation growing up?
I don't think so.
Really? I am actually kind of shocked. I figured that you would have been an Asimov guy growing up.
Not really.
Never.
I think I've read a couple of his books, but I wasn't a huge fan.
Apple TV. Thank you, Wayne.
Apple TV. Foundation.
Yes, Apple TV. I would call it probably the seminal Isaac Asimov work. It's big sci-fi epic, like multiple books. I think it's like the seminal work of Asimov.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of got that Steranko thing going, doesn't he? It's like Asimov. It's just like. It just kind of has to be respected because it's Isaac Asimov, right?
It's Isaac Asimov. What the hell was I? Shit, there was What was the show? There was a show I was just watching. It wasn't a terribly great show, but it. Oh, that's interesting. It's an Apple TV show. It's the one with the guy from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he's a video game.
Mythic Quest.
Mythic Quest.
Rob McElhaney.
Yeah. Well, so you've watched it. You've watched the show.
I've watched a couple episodes.
Okay. Yeah. I really like the show, but in the show, they run this giant video game company where it's in a multi MMORPG, whatever the hell, and
a video game studio.
And one of the employees is this older kind of hack sci-fi writer, and brilliantly played. I don't know the actor's name, but you'd recognize him. He's a character actor. He's been in a billion things.
Yeah. He does the storylines for the game.
Yeah, he does the storylines.
What is it supposed to be riffing on the game?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
Like Elder Scrolls or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Who knows? Well, anyway, but they did an episode where it was basically his backstory. It was his entire, like, season 2 is like his entire backstory, and like he wanted to be a sci-fi writer and
just didn't make the cut.
He just wasn't. He was me, essentially, in the sense of like he knew everything technically about how to write sci-fi. He loved sci-fi, and but he didn't know how to write with any emotion. Like it was just all
ineffectual, by the numbers. It was paint.
Well, it was just like overwritten. It was just like everything was about world building. You know what I mean? Like everything was about these incredibly complex alien life forms and alien technology and sci-fi worlds and all that with no real story. But he's working in this office, and at one point he runs into Isaac Asimov, and they have this whole like story. I'm not going to ruin it for anybody, but there's this whole storyline with Isaac Asimov involved in it. It's like his hero. So it's kind of interesting. I wonder if any of those people are involved. Someone obviously is a big Isaac Asimov fan at Apple TV. Not a shocker, sure. Right?
Yeah, not a shocker at all. But check out the trailer. It looks amazing. Actually, pull up the trailer. Let's watch it.
I can't.
I know you can do. You can do such things with your podcast wizardry. Right, I would be interested in your reaction on it because it looks pretty sweet. There's a guy from what was it? The Expanse on there.
Oh.
Among other things, which I think the Expanse has one more season. You kind of petered out on the Expanse and probably will go back to it at some point, maybe.
I've tried over and over again to oh god, wait. Stop it.
I'm not touching anything.
I don't know why it keeps playing on me. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Share screen. Foundation. Allow.
Riveting radio.
Yes, absolutely. Let's get okay. Here we go. Foundation. We'll go to theater mode, and boom.
See, I knew you can do it.
Oh, it starts tomorrow or Friday.
3 days. Yep.
Friday. Why is my?
Yeah. But you can see. I mean, it has that really well shot, it's just slick, big sci-fi epic feel to it. Kind of how you would want, Dune to look. When does Dune come out?
Soon, I don't know. Oh, that guy's awesome.
Yeah, that's the guy from The Expanse, among other things.
No, that's the guy from Mad Men.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, so which I've already seen Dune early reviews that Dune is the greatest and the worst movie of all time.
Sure it will.
All right, so there you go. Foundation.
That guy's from many years.
I'm gonna have to go back and I say this knowing damn well I'm never gonna do it, but I really do need to go back and reread Foundation. I think I read it when I was like 14, so this is all gonna be new to me. Yeah. So, what did you read more of the like fantasy novels as opposed to the sci-fi novels when you were growing up? Because I think you read a lot more fantasy than I did.
Yeah, I read sci-fi. But yeah, I was mostly more of a fantasy novels. And Change Your Fate. Yeah, I don't know why I never really got into Asimov for whatever reason. I mean, I think I read iRobot and a few others maybe, but
yeah. I don't know, maybe I think I was into a lot more like English shit growing up than you were, like the Doctor Who influence kind of pushed me into that.
I'll be honest, like
realm.
I find Asimov's ideas very interesting, but I find his actual books kind of dry and
kind of like Tolkien a little bit.
Yeah. The ideas are great, but they're kind of fucking dry. And I mean, it's like Philip K. Dick. Philip K. Dick's ideas are way better than his books.
Yeah.
Like his writing, his actual writing.
I always felt that way about Harlan Ellison.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with that.
One of those like just idea, machines, and the ideas are more interesting than the actual
yeah.
books. Dune, maybe October 27th or 22nd. Thank you, Wayne.
I don't know. Sci-fi. I did not read a ton of sci-fi growing up. I was much more into fantasy novels than sci-fi, and I don't know what else. Funny stuff, but yeah.
All right, but yeah, I'm looking forward to Foundation. I think that's going to be awesome. It looks epic.
It does look that.
Yeah. So check that out.
Interesting. I like that dude. The one guy. Did you ever watch the show *Halt and Catch Fire*?
Yes.
Yeah, I loved that show. That dude's in that. That guy.
Yes.
I don't know what.
Yes. Which, speaking of watching stuff, Will, who we'll talk to on Sunday, had some glowing recommendation for Reservation Dogs.
Oh yeah, I haven't. I have not started that yet.
Quote unquote. Some of the best TV I've ever seen. Unquote.
Oh, he's
getting hyperbolic. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna have to check out some Reservation Dogs. All right, cool, bud.
All right, all good.
Yeah,
we've talked a lot.
I'm gonna go watch.
Did we
baseball.
Fill in baseball? Oh, my White Sox are tanking.
My Cardinals
clinch the fucking division.
9 in a row by my Redbirds. The devil magic is back.
I don't know what's going on. My Sox are they can't close a season out.
They will. They're fine. They're
eventually.
You don't have to worry about it for a couple weeks.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know.
Your Sox will be fine. All right. You have a wonderful rest of your night, and we will talk again on Sunday for K Billy Super Sounds, and then we'll be back next week with our trade talk on Ether by Matt Kent. Check that out. It's completely readable in that time between now and then, and so we'll be back for that talk. And in the meantime,
In between time,
we'll be everywhere in
and around comics.
Oh, Tom will be back.
Comics.